Welcome back to the Bro. This is Will from the EW Brothers. If this is your first time here, this channel provides you a detailed tutorials prepare you ready to success for the Rhodes Scholar Cup competition. So today's session will be about the special area. In case you don't know what it means, it's basically psychology. I had absolutely no clue what it is at the start, so don't worry. So today's session will be focusing on mistakes and recoveries. Of course, everyone makes a mistake. What is a mistake? This is a easy question, but many people struggle on. So, what's your definition of a mistake? Okay, so here are some ideas. A mistake could be an action or decision that we come to regret. It could also be an error or something that helps us to succeed. Or it can be an act or judgment that's wrong. Please write your own definition of mistake and explain why. Sometimes we think something could be a mistake, but it actually could be something helping us to success. That's very important to know. So, why do we make mistakes? Is there any moment when you made a very big mistake which you still cannot forget? I can remember how I failed my math test. That's very sad. So there are definitely moments in life which you made a very big and regretful mistakes. I hope not that we cannot forget. So why is that? It is actually just to do with your perception. So perception is the way something is understood or interpreted. We navigate from the chaos by performing perceptions. We can construct our own reality to make sense of the world around us. So, is it okay to make mistakes? Let me know in the chat box. Yes, of course it's okay to make a mistake. This video is quite long, so I will just skip it, but if you want the link, I'll post it in the chat below. So as you can see here, this girl is struggling to draw at the start, so she's making some mistakes. But then after she's practicing, after making loads of mistakes, she finally succeeded and became a brilliant artist. So mistakes are just the steps to success. Grow from your mistakes. Absolutely. So what does this video tell you? Yeah, that mistake is actually something to lead you forward. The importance is not to repeat your mistakes. So our perception is formed by the experiences we had in the past, which help guide us to move forward. And perceptions is limited in scope. Subconsciousness allows you to move forward and avoid making those mistakes again. But how? Some people says, I always touch the hot kettle accidentally, but I still do it. But actually your mind and your perception is reminding you not to touch it again because it's hot. So in this scenario, you don't know that you shouldn't be touching a hot kettle. So you did and felt the pain. We still want to do it again. For the first time, we didn't knew that something is a mistake, so we make it. But then after we knew it is a mistake that will harm us, we won't do it again. But here comes another scenario. You punch your friend and you think that's okay and that's kind of fun. But then you didn't knew that your friend is gonna to get hurt when you get caught by a teacher or when you just got arrested simply. Then what happens next? Then you will definitely be punished and you know what the consequences are, so you won't be making this mistake again. It's the feeling of regret, guilty, and sadness that make you to do on your mistakes. So, here comes the next question. Do you admit to mistakes? This is a very good question because lots of us doesn't really admit to every mistakes that we make. But why is that? Let's look at this example. Your friend reminded you to complete your homework. You told him that there's plenty of time and you just do it later. I do that all the time. But 3 days later, Mrs. Pritchard was collecting the homework. You didn't do it. So Miss Pritchard definitely got really mad, but what would you do? Share with me your idea in the chat box. So will you either say sorry to Miss Pritchard and your friend and tell them that it won't happen again? Or would you tell Miss Pritchard that the due date is unreasonable and it is impossible for any student to complete the work, even when half of or most of the class have completed it? Okay, now let's do a little vote survey. Put down your results in the comments. If you agree to saying sorry, then write A and your reason. And if not, you think it's not her problem, then just type B. So why would some people not admit to mistakes? This is actually to do with people's ego. Remember this key term, fragile ego over here. I'll highlight it. Circle it. So people with fragile ego have a brittle self-esteem. Admitting to mistakes is too threatening for their egos to tolerate. Accepting they're wrong and observing reality will be psychologically shattering, in which their defense mechanisms will do something remarkable to avoid doing so. They literally distort their perception or reality to make reality less threatening. This isn't something that we should be laughing at. It's something common. It's some mistakes that we all could make. Here comes the exam style question. So discuss with your team. What is the best way to handle someone who refuses to accept they have made a mistake, even when the facts are indisputable? List them as much as you can in the chat box. Okay, this is a very good question. Some people are bystanders and they choose to ignore two mistakes that others made because it can't bother them. I get why, honestly. People sometimes think that stepping away would be the best option, but then the moment that you're helping your friends or others, you're actually so helping yourself. Maybe you made similar mistakes in the past, and after we realize that it's something that people won't enjoy you doing, we might just stop making those mistakes. So this is highly important. So are your mistakes really mistakes? Now we will be looking at those small mistakes that doesn't really matter that much. For example, pocket dialing, accidentally reply all, email storm, etc. So here are some mistakes that we might make on daily basis. For example, I tend to reply the message through email to my teacher, but I accidentally replied to all my mates, and this could be kind of embarrassing, especially if I get told off or something. Or it could even be an apology letter. This would definitely be a mistake that I'm making. But do we actually count as a mistake, or is it just something that will help to build up perception in avoiding similar silly mistakes? Now you decide how and when should you help people with those mistakes. Overspending, undersaving, credit card debt, poor diet, reckless driving, and procrastination. Some people think as long as it doesn't bother me or my friends that I won't bother and tell anyone. But actually, again, when you're helping others, you could be helping yourself. I tend to choose to remind people politely if they're making some mistake that I've realized, and try to make the environment better, which is healthy for us all. So we all make mistakes, but judges too. The judges in court can sometimes make harmless mistakes, yet they can also take cases to reopen. Those mistakes could sometimes be extremely serious. Have there ever been any innocent people that have been sentenced to life? This did happen before in the past and it's still happening. As judges is also one of us, so it's very normal for them to make mistakes. But what are some harmless errors and what are some errors that are very bad? Let me just try to find it quickly. So, a harmless error is an error by a judge in the conduct of a trial that an applicate court finds was not damaging enough to appealing party's right to a fair trial to justify reversing the judgment. Harmless error includes technical errors. Let's just highlight it quickly. So, this type of question could either be on an essay question, so you'll be asked to write 3 pieces in total, 1 for each subject, and there will be 6 pieces available. You can just choose 3 among your groups, and each person have to write for 80 minutes, where there will be some discussion time before and after you write. So for this question, you need to bear in mind that a harmless error could include technical errors, and it could also be those errors that was corrected, such as the one that I mentioned in the bracket. So the more overwhelming mistakes the evidence against the appealing party, the harder it will be convinced the applicate court that any errors were harmful. In such situation, courts rule that even in the absence of the error, the applicant could not have won. So sometimes those mistakes are very harsh and important, so let's just try to avoid making mistakes, shall we? We will be going through 2 more points for today. So who should be the judge of the judge? Should judges consider changing public values making their decisions? And if a justice system is currently convincing too many innocent people, should we make it harder for people to be convicted? Even if this would allow more guilty people to go for free? Tell me your ideas in the comment now. Thank you for watching.
Don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe for more exciting videos.